Hey, what's new and exciting? It's Kevin O'Shaughnessy here, and today I wanted to talk about phrases in music. It's really easy to get caught up in the mechanics of playing the guitar, but of course, one of the things we need to know is a little bit about music. And this came up with a student recently, so I thought I'd put it up on YouTube so everybody could get the benefit of it. So a phrase is a musical sentence. And when you start to see music on this level instead of just chord to chord or note to note, and you combine that with a knowledge of song forms and a couple of other pretty simple theory concepts, music becomes a lot easier to memorize and therefore perform, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a very short chord progression here. We've got, let's do C, we'll do A minor, F, and G. Simple chord progression here. You might find this in a pop song or a country song or something like that. You know, pretty common. If you're familiar with the Roman numerals of it, this would be a 1, a 6 minor, a 4, and a 5 chord. But you don't need to know that right now. What you need to know is that in music, a phrase consists of two parts. We have a melodic component and a harmonic component. So the melodic component, of course, is the tune. It's what your vocalist is going to be singing, or your lead instrumentalist is going to be playing. And the harmonic component is the chord progression that is going to support the melody. Generally speaking, the length of a phrase is 4 bars. It can be anything. There's no set rule for it or anything like that, but as a general observation, you could say that the length of a phrase is about 4 bars. And what this does is this gives you a starting point, okay? In order to get to know a song and memorize it and really learn it and really be able to perform it well, you have to do a little bit of intellectualizing. You've got to think about it and you've got to kind of get under the hood and figure out what makes it work. So to start that analysis, to have a general statement like the typical phrase length is 4 bars gives you a place to start. Now you can look at the piece of music that you've got. You can look at the chord changes, whatever you've gotten down, you've downloaded from online or you're looking at in a book. Now you can look at it and see if it fits that statement or if there's a variation. Okay, so since I'm going to try to do somewhat of a textbook version of this phrase length here is going to be 4 bars. Now the trick in a lot of cases is to memorize this phrase. All right, it's only 4 chords. It's really not that big a deal, right? It's pretty simple. C, A minor, F, and G. The reason this is important is because in a lot of music, this phrase here is simply going to repeat, probably 4 times to create the verse. Okay, so you see how automatically, if you can get your head around where the phrase is, what is the initial chord progression, now all you need to remember is that it repeats 4 times, right? You don't have to sit there and think, okay, C, A minor, F, G, C, A minor, F, G, C, A minor, F, G. You don't need to do that. What you do is you take this phrase and you chunk it in your brain as one complete section. It's a sentence. That's what it is. So you remember it as such. Then all you got to do is remember the number of repetitions before you move on to the next section. So moving on, the next thing that you'll probably come across might be a chorus. Now, a chorus typically is shorter than a verse, usually by like a multiple. So if the verse is 4 phrases long, then your chorus may only be 2 phrases long. Although I've seen in a lot more modern music, the choruses and the verses have the same number of phrases. It could be 4 and 4. Or sometimes the choruses are even longer than the verses, okay? These things are pretty obvious, right? You can always tell the chorus, right? The melody usually jumps up a little bit. Everybody plays a little louder. It's a little bit more exciting. The title of the song comes in during the chorus. Usually it's sung a couple of times, but not always. But you know what the chorus is. So in this case, I'm going to do a slightly different phrase for the chorus, and I'm just going to make it, I'm just going to alternate between, what do I want to do? Let's do C, F, C, F. Oops, I did it again. Get rid of that. We'll make that F. We'll make it C, F, and finally 2 bars of G to round it out. Now, if I play through this is just going to be a click track with a MIDI piano playing whole notes, so this isn't going to be terribly interesting. But what I want you to listen for is every time you hear this first chord C, okay, that's going to feel like kind of a home base, right? So check this out. All right, obviously not earth-shattering by any stretch, but who knows? That could very well be the chord progression to a Grammy Award-winning song, and probably was. So the idea, though, is that now we've got two sections. Generally speaking, the verse and the chorus are going to be connected. Now, even though we've got a different chord progression for the chorus, it's a fairly simple pattern, right? We've got CF followed by CF followed by CF. So we've got that pattern repeated 3 times, and then a final G chord for 2 bars to turn us around and get us back to another verse. And that whole section, right, that whole 24 bars of music right there is going to repeat pretty much the same way. So by just learning these first 24 bars here, and in actuality, you didn't even have to learn that much. You learn the first phrase, you repeat it 4 times. You'll learn the pattern for the chorus. If it's not full phrases like this, or if it's not a 4-bar progression, you figure out what that phrase is, you memorize that. In this case, what have we actually memorized? It's 4 bars here, 2 bars here, plus 2 bars there, right? We've learned 8 bars of music, and by simply remembering the order we're supposed to play them or the number of repetitions we need to use, we can actually memorize this section very quickly. Now, there are different sections to the song, too. There are things like pre-choruses, which are transitions between the verse and the chorus to build up the tension a little bit. A song that immediately comes to mind that has a fantastic pre-chorus is going back to the 80s with Bon Jovi and Living on a Prayer. That part where they say, she says, we got to hold on to what we got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. That's a pre-chorus, right? A transition between the verse and the chorus. You might have a song with a bridge, right? So that's a completely different set of chords, usually has a different mood. It often comes in after the second chorus, and lyrically it's got a turnaround to it. You know, this would be the part where if this were a heartbreak song, the bridge would be the section where the person singing says, I'm better off without you, you know, and then the song continues on. And so basically the point here is that by kind of backing up from the song a little bit, instead of just trying to figure out what chord comes next, look for groups of chords. Music happens in patterns. Everything in music is some sort of a pattern. So look for that pattern of chords. That's likely going to be your phrase. Figure out how many times that phrase repeats, and now you've got a section. And then you don't have to focus on chord by chord by chord. You can zoom out a little bit and think about it in terms of phrase by phrase by phrase. And you can do that for the verses, you can do that for the chorus, the bridge, whatever sections the song has, you can analyze it in that way. So I hope you find that useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and let me know. If you have any questions or you'd like to know more about this sort of thing, like how you can dig into phrases and song structures and stuff like that so you can get to learn your songs that much faster, let me know in the comments so that I can address them in future videos. And if you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe and adjust your notification settings to taste. So go listen to some of your favorite songs and see if you can figure out where the phrases are and see if that helps you get to know the song a little better and help you memorize it a little bit more quickly. I am Kevin O'Shaughnessy, and I will see you in the next video.